Minister Sven Mikser, thank you very much for your time. Can you tell us first what brought you to Kosovo? What's the official, concrete reason for visiting Kosovo this time?
Well, obviously, it's always good to visit friends. As you know, Estonia, and by the way, it's the first time ever that an Estonian foreign minister pays a visit to Kosovo. But we have had, over the years, since the independence of Kosovo, we've had very close cooperation on multiple fronts. And I believe that after the independence of Kosovo, Estonian parliamentary delegation was the first to arrive in Pristina. What brings me here right now is the fact that Estonia is about to take on the role of the President of the EU Council. That's a huge responsibility, and obviously I want to visit all the important partners and neighbors of the European Union, particularly those which have European aspirations. And it's not very long ago that Kosovo signed a stabilization and association agreement with the European Union. We know that the process of visa liberalization is well, quite at an advanced state, and there are just a few final hurdles to be cleared. And I very much hope that this will be done sooner rather than later. Obviously, when I started to prepare for and plan for this visit, I did not foresee the political developments that happened domestically, but obviously in democracies elections happen. Now it's, I believe, very important to well, have the elections and the campaign and the elections conducted in an orderly manner, and to have a new government in place that would be able to continue on the path of reforms.
I see. With regards to the visa liberalization, we had so many discussions here, particularly one of the main conditions by the European Union is to ratify the border demarcation deal between Kosovo and Montenegro, something that did not happen. And for our political leadership, those in power in the government, that's the key issue. If we pass that, if we ratify that, we'll get, for sure, visa-free regime. Is that true? I mean, because there are political opponents say even if we would have actually passed the deal, the visa-free regime will take much longer than we expect.
Well, I very much hope that it will be possible to proceed without any delay. We know that there are two issues that are still on the table. The first one is the ratification of the border demarcation with Montenegro, and the second one is basically being able to demonstrate to the European Union that the fight against corruption and organized crime is on a sustainable track. There have been a very positive assessment as to the achievements so far from various high officials of the European Union. So I hope that you will be able to demonstrate to everyone that this is indeed the case, and this process is on a very sustainable track.
Right.
As to the border demarcation, well, it is my understanding from meeting the President, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Speaker of Parliament, that there is a very strong support across the board for the idea of well, achieving visa liberalization. That it is also a very important issue for the voters in Kosovo. So I very much hope that with the new composition of the parliament and with the new government, there will be a sufficient support in the parliament. It's a two-thirds majority in the House is a very high hurdle, but on this occasion I believe it's very important to put the national aspirations of Kosovo people ahead of any party political motives.
Right.
So I very much hope that on this issue it will be possible to sort of transcend the party lines and the coalition opposition lines and work together for what is good for the country and the people.
With regards to one of the main conditions you just mentioned, the fight against corruption, many people here get confused what exactly that means. What should this country and its state institutions, what should the prosecution in Kosovo exactly do in order to fulfill, in order to achieve? That's one of those two main conditions for visa-free regime.
Well, basically proceed with the prosecution of those who have found to be guilty of crimes in that particular area. Well, I believe it's fair to say that the fight against corruption and the fight against organized crime can never be completed in any country, but there needs to be a sufficient confidence among the EU leaders that this process, these advancements in that regard are irreversible.
Right. The last times, particularly the last 12 months, EU accession wasn't really one of the favorite topics for many members of the European Union. It's also an election year, but now that several pro-EU leaders in some of the key member states of the European Union won the elections, do you believe that for the next 6 months, when your country will be in charge of the EU presidency, the EU accession, particularly focusing on the Western Balkan countries, will come back?
Well, I think that there is a renewed attention, a focus from the EU to the region, not always for the best of reasons. We know that there have been turbulences when it comes to some regional countries recently, and these obviously are the reason for some of that attention that the region is receiving from the European Union. That there is no denying that the European Union itself is not going through the easiest of times at this point. The Brexit negotiations are about to start immediately after the elections in the UK. They will absorb receive a lot of the attention of the member states, but I think that it's important to proceed with the reforms and be ready when the window of opportunity opens. It's important to be prepared when at the moment when the opportunity rises. So I very much encourage all those countries in the region that already today have the candidate status to continue on the path of European future, and also those countries who are at various stages of with regard to their European aspirations to actually continue with the reforms, because I believe that the reform effort is worthwhile even if the final objective is not about to materialize tomorrow. The reforms that or the implementation of for example, the stabilization and association agreement is important because it helps you to build institutions that are necessary in order to improve the business climate, the investment climate in the country, that will result in better economic growth, more job opportunities for young people. So irrespective of when exactly your final aspirations materialize, these things are good for the country, are good for the people.
Right. You mentioned a few turbulences that happened in the region recently, ethnic tensions and etc. Many believe that they are related to a rise of the Russian influence, not only in the Western Balkans, but a rise of Russian influence pretty much everywhere in the European continent. Is this one of the main reasons why Brussels should pay more attention to developments in the Western Balkans?
Well, it's one of many reasons. Yes, we've seen Russian policies having become more aggressive, well, not only in this region but pretty much globally over the recent years.
And you're saying just a bit more, not really too aggressive.
Well, obviously we've seen them behaving in a manner that is on occasion unnecessarily provocative and aggressive. Not only in this region, but also in the Baltic Sea region, in more closer to my own country. But we've also seen the attempts to interfere in undue manner in domestic affairs, internal politics of countries in North America, in Western Europe. So I think it's pretty much it's very much a wake-up call when it comes to the Balkans region. Yes, we've seen the more aggressive attempts to interfere in domestic politics, sometimes with the ambition of derailing the Euro-Atlantic aspirations of the countries in the region, and I think this is something that we should resist. And one way of doing that, or the best way of doing that, is actually to build more resilient societies, more resilient state structures, and that's where the European Union can be of great help.
Right. The win of Mr. Emmanuel Macron in France, and then we had earlier on in Austria the presidential elections where a pro-European candidate also won the elections. In Netherlands the result was also more in favor to the common European project. Do you think that the threat, the great threat of the Russian aggressive politics under Vladimir Putin has been passed now, and that threat is no longer as severe as it used to be before these elections?
Well, I don't think that. Well, I'm very much encouraged by the victories of pro-European forces in various countries on the European continent, and I very much hope that we will see a continuation of that trend in the German election and beyond. Right. In not too distant future, we are also going to have elections in Italy, and there are the political calendar is very full. Right. But I think that we cannot expect to be able to rest on the laurels anytime soon. The world is a dangerous place, and I think that whatever illusions we might have had with regard to the imminent end of history some 20 or 25 years ago, they are past us now. So we will have to continue to work in order to strengthen our institutions in each individual country, to build resilience into the system. But we also have to work in order to preserve the rules-based international order that I think has served us very well for many decades, but that is under significant assault recently. Right.
I'm told that we don't have much time. Just the very last question. Last night, a very known Albanian intellectual from Tirana and Pristina said that the Western Balkans has become more of a caricature of the Western world, because when we opened up to the world, we didn't really have the instruments in order how to embrace in the best way this new modern way of doing things and democracy. Your country joined the European Union in 2014. That's the time when probably more official. In 2004, right. That's the time when you actually pretty much officially joined the Western world, joining this common European project. Why it worked so much better for your country, and why it's not working so well for us here in the Balkans?
Well, I think there are various different reasons. Obviously, the international climate was different, and I would say that we used the window of opportunity that was open at that particular point in time, but it would not have been possible for us to slip in had we not done the homework before. So I think that ever since regaining independence in 1991, the aspiration of joining the Western community of nations, the Euro-Atlantic community, if you wish, that was something that was perceived by everyone, or virtually everyone, as a national aspiration, and it always came ahead of any party political consideration. for pretty much everyone. So we saw changes of governments, changes of coalitions, but whenever it came to the aspiration of joining the Euro-Atlantic structures, then there were no dividing lines. We were able to work across the aisle and put the national aspirations first. Right. I think it's important to do the homework, to be prepared, because those windows of opportunity, they open and close. But when you miss the opportunity once, then you may have to look for quite some time for the window to open again. And so I think that it's important that when you think of the upcoming elections and the government that's going to be formed after those elections in Kosovo, that you will be able to actually put the national aspirations first.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.